Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Protesters are showing up at government buildings, state capitals all over the land, decrying the loss of their freedoms. I say that they are acting like bratty teenagers who can't get their way with their parents and stay out past their curfew. Now, before I make the comparison, don't forget to like and share this video, and please subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Well, these protesters are showing up, some even armed. Others are decrying the loss of their freedom, even going so far as to say that it's like slavery. We need to protest like we're ending slavery. Some says we have to be the Rosa Parks. But what freedoms are they protesting? What freedoms are being lost here? And when I say that, because there seems to be a kind of loss of reality, common sense, about really what is going on. Reminds me of when I was a teenager. I think we're all of us who were teenagers. And our parents didn't allow us to stay out and do what we want to do, but rather made us come home. And we would look out our windows at those who could stay out and play and do whatever. And as always, if you watch them, some of them didn't turn out as right. And if you had common sense and realized the values that that our parents taught us, you realize that they were looking out in the long run in our lives, which produce a quality or better life. And even with that, some of us can certainly wish we had made better choices. But at the time, we certainly felt that we were being robbed, that we were being oppressed, that we couldn't do what we wanted to do. But just think if we had the freedom to do what we wanted to do. Think about those children who are doing what they want to do. Teen pregnancy, teen drug addiction, certainly promiscuity, about violence, right? And the list can go on and on. The main point is this: our parent, and if you are a good parent, is looking out for the welfare of us in the long term in terms of our life. In other words, oftentimes they don't even bother to reason with us. Why? Because during that time we just couldn't see it, could we? All we could see is that we were being robbed, oppressed. We couldn't do what we want. And I liken this to the protesters, that I'm not understanding their logic. What is it that they are protesting? Some are saying that they can't go to get their hair did and walk along the beach and do the things that they used to do. In defiance of these stay-at-home orders, you even had guys show up with guns. That's interesting. But what is it that they're protesting? Let's step back for a moment and look at the reality. These protesters are not acknowledging, either because of stupidity, a lack of sense. I want to say that they're being kind of corralled in their thoughts. Ever since our president shifted his tone from one of the seriousness of coronavirus to that we have to get the state open, what better ways than to use people to fuel people? By nature, people are sheep, and they will follow leaders wherever they go. And in the case of our president, he knows that. So what do? You start fueling with words. We got to get the country open again. Now, why is he doing it? Why are the Senate, who are mostly millionaires, right, and big businesses, why do they want the company reopened? Profits. But that's okay. I'm not even really criticizing that. Here's the problem. Let's look at what got us here in the first place. And this is what seemed the protesters are ignoring. We're managing a crisis, a health crisis. COVID-19, there realities we need to understand to justify the nonsense of the protests. One, we don't have a cure to this virus. This virus is spreading faster than any virus that we've seen. And with such ease, we can be infected. We know that it can be infected because it lives on surfaces. It also, we know that it comes from droplets from the infected person. So if I sneeze, even talk to you, I'm releasing the virus through the droplets. Those droplets get on the surfaces, and they can live, we know, up to 2, 3, 4 days, right? Now, here's the problem. We don't have a cure. So how do you stop the spread, which was spreading faster than we could contain? Well, one, because our leadership failed to adequately prepare and respond when they should. So now it's almost like when you come across a trauma victim, a person who is in an accident or they've been shot. You have to stop the bleeding right there so that you can get them to help. Well, the quarantine was to stop the bleeding, as it were. The problem is that our leadership still, where do we take them, right? In other words, we're still kind of at the accident site or the triage site. In other words, our leadership is slow to react. Granted that the quarantine is killing the economy. But wait a minute, slow down for a moment. We still have an active virus in which we don't have a cure that spread still at an exceedingly fast rate. So my point to the question, my question to the protesters is, if you are protesting to get back into public, to congregate in masses, how will you stop the spreading of the virus? And if you start congregating again with these realities that has not been resolved, then won't the virus restart and the crisis re-energize again? Now, if you're healthier and younger, the virus hits you like a bad flu. You still don't want to experience it. Every person that you hear that has survived COVID-19 will tell you it's one of the worst things that happens. So why go through it? Now, on the other hand, if you're older and have more health issues, it's going to hit you harder, even to the point of death. And while there are some people who are dismissing this, the number of deaths as well, it's acceptable. I don't want to be one of those acceptable deaths to you. I value my life. I value the life of my relatives. And I even value your life. So what are they protesting? What is it that they're saying that they're freedoms? And I think the reality is that are you not realizing we still have this virus, and that, by the way, we don't have adequate testing? You see, testing would allow us to quickly identify those who are infected. But our leadership didn't provide for that. We're still behind on that. My whole point is this: I think until we get to where we have adequate testing and that we can identify people who are infected, we need to slow our roll on this reopening, or we're going to find ourselves in probably a worse crisis. So until then, what is it that they are protesting? That's my question to them. Now, I'm going to also say this, that some of them are delusional. For example, I hear people saying that the government is lying to us. Well, first of all, what government says, the person that you're believing is the government. But secondly, who's lying about what? In other words, are you saying that there's no virus? Are you saying that the people are not being affected at an incredibly fast rate? America leads the world by more infected people 2-1. Are you saying that's a lie? What is the point of the protesters? And so, look, until we have adequate testing, I agree, the quarantine is killing the economy. But if our leaders It's going to dump any kind of resources until we find a cure, throw it into testing so we can identify those who are affected and isolate them. And then, yes, everyone else can go on. But here's the other question for the protesters. Those who are not symptomatics but still are carriers, how do you identify them? It's just kind of, to me, nonsense. All right, guys, that is my perspective. And as always, don't forget to like and share this video. And if you have a comment, add it to the comment section. And please subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. Till next time, I'll see you then.